Israel is fighting to prevent a repeat of the October 7th massacre. Israel is fighting because we know that if we leave the jihadi regime called Hamas in power, a jihadi regime whose reason for existing is to wage forever war against Israel until we are all dead, the next war is a matter of time. And what Israel is doing here is saying Hamas is refusing to release the hostages, it's refusing to surrender, so we're giving one last chance to Hamas to free the hostages. And if not, we're going all in order to bring down the Hamas regime. And the sooner Hamas comes down, the sooner we can move towards a day after plan that will improve lives for everyone in this region.
OK, so you're giving Hamas one last chance to free hostages. What is the deadline for that?
I understand from media reports that Israel is planning to wait with this offensive until after President Trump visits the region next week to give Hamas that one last chance to free the hostages. There are 24 hostages we believe are still alive, another 35 bodies of hostages who have already been murdered in captivity. Their families are worried sick, and Israel is hoping that military pressure will encourage Hamas to free the hostages for the sake of a ceasefire.
So what is your primary objective? Is it to eradicate Hamas, which goes back to your early intentions of this war, to eradicate Hamas or to free hostages? Which one is at the top of the agenda here?
Well, Israel wants to do both. And the debate in Israel now is what is more important? Do you free the hostages of today, or do you stop more hostage taking tomorrow? Because the ransom that Hamas is demanding to give the hostages back is to release thousands of convicted terrorists who will reoffend and to remain in power to plot the next October 7th massacre. So the Israeli government is taking the position, we want the hostages back, but we can't pay the ransom that Hamas is demanding. And there is a very painful debate in Israel now about what price is too high to get the hostages out, given that Hamas is demanding in exchange the tools and the freedom to perpetrate more atrocities and take more hostages in future. No one has any good answers. Israel is caught in a horrible bind with only terrible dilemmas.
Look, the organisation that represents many of the families of hostages has accused the Israeli government of choosing territory over their family members, over the hostages. What is the response to that?
Yeah, I think they have a right to be concerned that certain members on the right flank of the government have spoken about a desire to permanently control and settle Gaza. But the fact remains that the Hamas regime is still there. And as long as the Hamas regime is in power, the families of the hostages who have been displaced for the last year and a half because they were chased out of villages that were burned down on October 7th, they can't go home. And Israel wants to bring down the Hamas regime so that Israelis displaced by the war can go back home. Now, some hostages' families want the government to pay any ransom, okay? They say pay any price, release however many terrorists, leave Hamas on its feet, we'll deal with them another day. And who can blame them for demanding that? But there are other hostages' families who are saying you can't negotiate with terrorists, you can't pay a ransom to terrorists. Britain doesn't pay a ransom to terrorist hostage takers either. The only way is to put military pressure on Hamas because that is the only language they understand. Yeah. And you know, the same deal remains on the table, which is the war can end today like it could have ended on October 8th if Hamas surrenders and releases those hostages instead of trying to traffic them for a ransom.